Welcome everybody. So we're gonna get started just because we said we're gonna do 1 hour, and just to respect everybody's time here, I would like to already get going, and then whoever is coming late, they can also watch back the recording. So just to start, I would like you, before we actually introduce anybody or even myself, I would like you to just start arriving. And as we are arriving into this space, let's take literally a moment. Let's take a minute to really ground ourselves and really already arrive into that forest that we hopefully all gonna meet. So as you're coming into the space, I invite you to close your eyes, apart from Pedro, who is still checking if people are arriving. So just close your eyes for a moment and let's take a deep breath together. And on the breath out, let's arrive into our bodies and maybe put your feet on the ground, even if you're sitting in front of computer on the chair, and start feeling the land under your feet. And take another deep breath in, okay? And breathe out. And let go of the day and just arrive here in that space, in that circle of beautiful people. And one more breath in. And one more breath out together. And as you're arriving, I invite you to open your eyes slowly and start looking around this room and witnessing who is in the circle. Maybe there are some familiar faces, maybe there are some new people. So welcome everybody to Eternal Forest. This is our first community online call for specifically for organizing the camp for the gathering this year in September in Portugal. And now is a great moment for us to introduce ourselves. So I'm Evgenia Emets, and I'm artist and founder of Eternal Forest. And I will be your main host today, although I'll ask a couple of you to also help me. And today is really the day to get to know each other, to share with you what we are preparing, something very, very special. And of course, to introduce people who are already on board and who are already working together. We're also going to introduce you to the land, to the actual project, to all the different possibilities, how you can be involved and engaged, and also answer your questions, hopefully. So we have 1 hour together. So I would like to maybe do the following. I'm going to pass on to Pedro and then to Joao. And then I would like to invite Guy to speak as well, because he is here on behalf of the gathering team. So let's do literally 30 seconds introductions, like who you are, what brings you here, and why are you already engaged with Eternal Forest and what you are bringing to the camp. So first goes Pedro. And as you are listening, I also invite you in your own time to also write on the chat your name and where you are currently located, so that we already know where you're coming from. Thank you.
Okay, so it's my turn.
A
So
bit louder.
now that okay, so I've been involved with Eternal Forest for 2 years now. So I met Evgenia in Porto, where I'm based, 2 years ago when she came to, well, when she set up an exposition at the Galeria de Biodiversidade, the Museum of Natural History in Porto. And so I went to the gathering and to the Eternal Forest camp 2 years ago, and I was really interested in this beautiful project that Evgenia is setting up. So I'm based in Porto, and I'm also president of a small environmental organization, Campo Aberto, which is also affiliated with the Aliança pela Floresta Autóctone, which is an organization that defends the planting and the protection of autochthonous forest here in Portugal.
Thank you, Pedro. Wonderful. And Joao, how about you?
Can you listen to me? Oh,
Yes.
I'm João. I am working with the Eternal Forest with the partnerships and fundraising right now. But I am a gardener. Yeah, I'm a permaculture designer and I'm an entrepreneur. I've been working with it since 2016 in Brazil and since 2022 here in Portugal. Now I am with a partnership with Fractal to be a trusted implementation partner alongside with Eternal Forest and other projects around. And now I am based in the traditional Dream Factory and working as a land manager, not only for this place, but also for other projects and clients in the area. Yeah, I'm really happy to support Eternal Forest, not only in the ground, in the execution, but also in creating good partnerships and a nice match between the project and the local community.
Thank you, Joao. So
Well,
over to Guy.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy to see all of these faces coming together. I'm Guy. I'm organizer of the Gathering in Portugal, together with Victor here, who's very busy to do some other stuff, like hard at work to get the gathering going. We're organizing the event in São Pedro do Sul, trying to bring like 250 to 500 people together in nature, with other beautiful camps as well. But we're like organizing the the backbone of this the infrastructure, as you will, for the camps. So happy to be here, and yeah, curious to hear everyone speak and see where this is going.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. So people already started introducing themselves, so don't be shy. Really write who you are, where you're coming from, what you're bringing. Okay, Victor is coming as well. Wonderful. Victor, do you want to say a couple of words, just really briefly, before we go into before we start talking about the camp? Can you hear us? Yeah. We can't hear you.
Sorry, are you talking to me?
Yes, I invited you to just say a couple of words, introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Victor. I'm the original channel of this idea, which we're all here to channel now. So kind of the seed, which everybody's adding their little piece to. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm better with questions. So whatever questions people have, I'm happy to answer. But the big invitation is to co-create, to experiment and see, to live for 1 week our dream world, our dream society. It will take a while maybe for us to shift the whole world to the reality that we dream of. But here we can give ourselves these 7 days to really be around other people that believe not exactly the same things as we do, but that are also working very hard to build a better future and to imagine together of what this could be like and also what it could feel like and what would a holistically regenerative life be like. So it's an invitation to play, an invitation to experiment, but at the same time a very serious invitation to together think and work to bringing this reality closer and closer to being every day of our lives.
Thank you, Victor. Wonderful. And I'm sure lots of you have questions already. So actually, while I will start sharing a little bit about what we're actually going to do and co-create, I already invite you, as you are listening into that space and receiving, and start already thinking, or maybe you already arrived with certain questions. They can be any kinds of questions. So what we're going to do, we're going to collect everything. We're going to also try in a popcorn way. We're going to choose a few questions to already address at the end of this call. So we already clarify some things. But I invite you to really pour yourself out into the chat. We're going to save this chat, and then we're going to also create a kind of some answers. So they can be about logistics, they can be about engagement, they can be about collaborations, art, anything that you can imagine that really is interesting for you, and also things that are going to emerge. So use the chat really to put those queries together, and then we're going to try to answer them. So I'm going in a very, very brief way to try to contextualize what we are creating and try to really visualize for all of you, like where we're going to be for 7 days, what is Gathering, and what is Eternal Forest can bring into the Gathering. So I'm going to share a very, very brief presentation so that you have some kind of idea of what we're going to do. Let me see. Okay, you can see my screen, definitely. Can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, just to start with, what is the Gathering? And I will say from my perspective, also Guy and Victor is here, but Eternal Forest been at the Gathering since day one. This is our third time, and we really feel like it's also very much part of our family. The way Gathering is created is there is a held space. So we've got a very beautiful place, Carvalhais, Bioparque, which is São Pedro do Sul, north of Portugal, or central north. And the gathering is held in such a way that there is two main points in the gathering, opening and closing ceremony for the whole of gathering, and then basically beautiful infrastructure that is on offer to all of us that gathering team is creating. And then each camp, and a camp can be an organization, a cohort of people, a project, they create camps, and the camp then offers the program. And the program is offered in such a way that is fully collaborative, co-creative, participatory. So each of you can think of one element within the kind of the structure that we are proposing to hold. Whether you just want to support or you actually want to create a piece of this process, we are very, very happy to listen to you and to then create together. So Pedro, just saying that there are people in the waiting room. Thank you. Wonderful. So what we're going to do is we want to live the 7 days together as a community. We want to imagine and prototype how do we create an eternal forest throughout the 7 days, starting with dreaming, continuing with imagining, working, and celebration. And we have really good news for you. So as you know, some of you just only finding out, we're basically creating an international global network and a movement of 1,000 forest sanctuaries protected for 1,000 years. And some of you have seen some of our work that we did in Fire Brava last year, in Picote, in Portugal, and some other places. And we are developing those forest sanctuaries with local communities. So basically, we join together reforestation, ecosystem restoration, art, and community stewardship and protection. And this is how we imagine forests can actually stand for 1,000 years. So that's just a little intro of what Eternal Forest does. And so the good news is that we have a commitment from Carvalhais, from Bioparque, from the freguesia of Carvalhais, to actually co-create Eternal Forest in the coming years. And so what we want to do during this camp is already put the first seed in the ground and start prototyping this process in itself. And we're offering this process to all of you as a learning journey where we could both learn how to do it from each other and with each other, with the land, with the local community, but we can also share our skills and we can bring the best of us into this process. So who is this for? Basically, we're inviting artists, ecologists, regenerative designers. We're inviting aligned organizations, NGOs that are doing restoration, conservation work, tree planting work, etc. And of course, we're inviting other projects, land stewards, whether they're already building a project or just dreaming of building one, to actually come and co-create together. So these are just some of the examples of the work done last year. This is Picote. We created a small forest sanctuary together with a local community, and it's actually now growing because the project is then embedded into a larger eco-restoration work in Picote in Portugal. And the previous picture you saw was in Fire Brava. So these are just example of some of the work we do. We work always with native species, with ecosystem restoration, and we do this work always in relation to the actual land. So I'm going to share with you, this is a slide that I actually redone specifically for this call. So let me just share this slide. I want to take you a little bit through imagining the 7 days. So I'm going to take you through the whole 7 days of what we are proposing. And I'm inviting you to imagine and to think how within this structure, within this framework that we are creating, you see yourself and you see your own work, your own passion, and your own perhaps projects that you're already leading or you would like to start. So imagine that the 7 days of like 7 days of creation. So we are going to do all types of experience, from artistic, immersive, participatory experiences to thinking and workshopping together and mapping, to creating and implementing as much as we can, because this is also September, so we will see if we plant anything or not. That is also a question. We have to listen very, very carefully to the land. And we are going to, of course, celebrate. So one thing that I would like to say before we go a bit deeper into the program, that we really would like to engage local community of Carvalhais. So we already had one meeting with the local community. We heard from some people. We shared this proposal and we heard really good response. There is a lot of interest in terms of environmental education, artistic possibilities, and art residences that we could create together with time, bringing people to the land through more like experiential, emotional connection. And Carvalhais and the freguesia is already doing larger scale reforestation on 200 hectares. And what we want to do is we want to put the root, the seed of the project this September in Bioparque, which is in itself a beautiful place, and a place that is also hosting the whole gathering. And we have a very beautiful space that we were invited to consider for this intervention. It's a space around along the river with beautiful mills that were used in the past for creating corn flour and other types of flour, and to see how we can think around that area first and then expand into the mountainous area and think how we will do both reforestation, art, and community together. So going through the days, I like to think about like, where do we start and how do we think about what is stewardship and how do we become good stewards and how do we become good ancestors of the future generations. So how can we do something today that will stay there forever and that younger generations will basically take on and continue the work. So we would always open the day number one with entering the realm, the field of the place, and really opening the story of what does it mean to be a good steward, to be a good guardian, whether you are an artist or ecologist or scientist. And we don't know how it looks and feel yet. We have an idea that there will be an opening ceremony, there will be creation of natural altar, and there will be some participatory work to be done together, but also it's an invitation to think together, like what does it look and feel that day. An important part of all eternal forest work, and this is very much a permaculture principle, is we really need to listen to the land. And typically when we work on a project, the listening to the land process is like 6 months, 1 year. So it's a really deep and long process. We go really, really deep. We really listen to the dream of the land. So here we will really work together on the day number 2 to drop into that space, to really listen what the land is already offering, to observe the ecology, to walk, to access the history, to invite the local community to tell their stories and their memories of the land, and also see where the land is requiring our contributions, where the wounds are, where the healing can take place. One of the most important parts of this work is mapping the ecosystem, so mapping the local community. How do we create something that lasts for 1,000 years? Well, we need to work with the local community, with the organizations that are already doing good work, with the neighbors, with the schools, with the associations. So this day, the 23rd of September, will be really dedicated to that. We'll go really deep into that. And it will also allow all of us to learn how do we do the proper placemaking, the proper making of the circle, so that anybody can do this anywhere in the world where you build projects. And a lot of you, I know, have really good experience already doing this work. The reason why we're dedicating time to this, because at the end of these 7 days, and in the process that we're doing now with the community, we want to emerge a circle of guardians, people who live locally, people who really want to take this work forward. Because it's not us, Eternal Forest, that is going to just deliver that project. We really want to do it together with the community, and the community will lead this. And then it's exciting moment. How do we design a forest sanctuary? What does it actually mean? How do we create it? And here we will really play with different approaches to design. How do we approach it from multidisciplinary way? We're going to invite regenerative design and landscape architect to work with us, but also artists and people who want to design the process. So it's not just the physical place that we are contributing to, let's say, improving with time, but it's also how do we design the process of what is going to follow. So how do we engage with community? How do we engage with the long term? And this is the day that we will really prototype approaches, and we will also be able to sketch like things physically and then implement them in the same day and the following days. So what we are very much aware of by working with many communities throughout years and by listening into the field is the question of finance and funding. And this is like really core question across all the projects. So here we want to bring into the room people who are experienced and people who already understand the funding flows. We want to look at regenerative funding. We want to look at all kinds of streams that a community can think of to make such projects possible, because we do understand that culture, creating such a cultural project that is truly complex, is a big investment for any community, and they need to understand what does it mean to make this investment happen and what does it mean to sustain the work. So here we're really calling upon also other members of the gathering. We will always be inviting facilitation and contributions so that we can really see how do we map these funding possibilities and how do we help any community to get projects funded. And of course, every Eternal Forest has to have a celebration. We usually do a really beautiful ceremony. There are different contributions during this time. There is storytelling that can happen, offerings from local community, etc. So this is a very important day. And here also, just to say something, during these days, a program might shift. I'm just giving you a skeleton so you can already start thinking it and your imagination can start running and kind of opening up. It will be a symbolic celebration. We don't know how it would look at and feel. It will be depending on our collaboration. The seventh day, usually, I think the ceremony, and maybe Guy can tell us later, it will be like midday or just afternoon. So here we're really wrapping up and we are doing all of our harvesting and reconnection and really thinking, how do we step into the future? who is staying in that project, who wants to support the local community. Usually it's local people and somebody who really wants to contribute because they live nearby. And then how do each and every one of you can take the seed of this work forward? So what we want to do, and maybe I'll stop sharing this program for now. We can also send it later because I also want to see your faces. What we're going to do with this gathering is we want to, as an outcome, as one of the outcomes, of course, to put the seeds in the ground, but also to start prototyping a kind of a toolkit that we can share with many communities in Portugal and around the world, so that we can start seeing what are the common patterns, how can art support, what types of funding do we need, how do we approach community building, etc. So what needs to be kind of the model in place that this work is possible and also easier to approach for people. So I would like to pause here just for a moment and see if you're already putting some question. Okay, there are no questions in the chat. I don't know why, but if you have some, start putting them in, because I'm going to go through a couple of more things in the next 10 minutes. I want to leave time for us to talk so that it's not just me talking. Okay, so if you already have some ideas, thoughts, questions, please put them in the chat. So I'm going to share with you just very briefly. You already saw the page, you saw the tickets, hopefully, but I'm going to share with you this page now and say that, okay, let me just stop sharing this one. So this is, okay, hold on. Okay. So we have our page of the Eternal Forest Camp. You can have all the information here. And we will be putting here more of our events so that you know exactly what's happening. So save that link. I will put it in the chat later. And let's talk very briefly about the tickets, because I'm sure you have a lot of questions about the tickets. So we have our camp ticket. So when you buy the ticket from this link, you are automatically inside Eternal Forest Camp. What does the ticket include? It's taken a moment, I think, to open. What does this ticket include? It includes access to the camp. Although the camp is completely open, we like to understand like who is actually in our camp. This ticket allows us to, it has a very small margin compared to general gathering ticket. And that little margin allows us just to provide basic infrastructure for our camp, like, for example, shade structure where we need to be and some basic expenses. That does not include any food or tents. So you need to either bring a tent or there will be glamping available. So I think later on, the gathering will release a glamping add-on. So there is a possibility to stay either in the tent or in glamping or in a little cabin. And I think all that pricing and possibilities will be available on the gathering site. We can also share this with you. So I think now you can see the page. So I advise you to buy the ticket as soon as possible. I think we make early bird ticket available until 1st of July. After that, the price will go up. I cannot tell you how much it will be. We haven't decided yet, but for now, we would like to give as many people possibility to buy this basic ticket. So you already have it. And we already know how many people are coming specifically to this camp. And also it would allow us, the earlier we know who is coming, it would allow us to start co-creating, because we will start connecting the dots and we will start actually weaving the program. Yeah, okay, Guy is putting some information in the chat about the glamping, etc. So one more thing that I want to share with you today, because it is very much starting for us and it's very much pending. So we are also right now starting to work on gathering additional funds. And I will explain to you why we are doing it and what does it actually mean. So I'm going to put for you in the chat the link to Artizen platform, which for some reason is not opening. Today the technology is not so much on my side. Okay, I'll find the link later, but for now I'll just share with you an overview. What is the ticket purchase link? Okay, let's put first of all, let's share the tickets. Maybe, Guy, do you have access to our tickets? Maybe you can share it. Okay, you got the link to Artizen, okay, and maybe link to the ticket while I'm gonna actually share and present. Thank you so much. All right, so let's go back to presentation. So, as you know, getting this type of work together, it requires funds. So we are going to fundraise, and our point in doing this fundraising is actually be able to invite 2 to 3 artists that do specifically regenerative work in Portugal. So we are not inviting any artists from abroad. We would like them to contribute. We are going to do a lot of placemaking work now in July and August, and we're going to do quite a lot of visits. We would like to also invite a few facilitators, if they're not coming directly from the gathering, that we would like to kind of engage them and bring them to the gathering. We would like to see if we can do some beautiful installations, and that also requires material support. And of course, camp production and coordination. For now, we have a beautiful team that is volunteering, but we need a bit more work to be done. We need to do much more outreach, because we would like to bring also some NGOs and some businesses to the camp, so we can start weaving a much bigger network and bring in more energy to the project. Finally, we really want to do professional documentation, storytelling, and communication, and I'm sure you all understand what it means. It costs real money. So we want to film the whole process and have really good photography, so we can actually get the bigger project funded, that is 200 hectares, and also get much more work outside of this specific project. And finally, we really want to create a toolkit. So we want to find a good designer and produce the toolkit that will then go to the community. So the reason why you're seeing the 14,000 here in dollars is because we are fundraising on Artizen platform. If you can contribute, of course, great. If you cannot contribute financially, what we invite you to do is just go on this platform and just press boost, because voting gives us visibility and voting counts for us to be able to enter funds. The way Artizen works, and this is also we are first time doing this, we're experimenting. We have full support from Artizen community already, but we need to gain visibility on the platform. So the way it works is every dollar that somebody contributes becomes basically $3. So every 25 becomes, you can count 75. So it's quadratic funding, and different funds that we apply for on the platform work in different ways. What we are also offering on our site, just not to be only asking for money, we are offering reciprocity and exchange. So we created some gifts that we call them gifts, and we can offer them in exchange for contributions. So here we can offer digital artwork from the Eternal Forest visual language. So whatever we create, we can also give something visual back, that they are downloadable artworks. We want to create a field note. So it's a digital publication with images, text about the journey, and then we can share it with more communities. So you can get a PDF of that. And we want to really create a printable version of an expression of what we do in this community. We call it the Seed of Eternal Forest. And you saw similar ones we created for Fire Brava experience. So this one you can actually print and have as a poster. And then a community guide, that is our toolkit, that is our main offering. We really, really want to produce this well so we can share it with more people. So here you're really contributing and supporting that work and the, you know, the professional expression of the work. And then if there is a patron, potential patron that you know, you can also ask them to help us, just, you know, send us $1,000 and we can invite artists to play. I'm coming to this very much from the point of view artists should be paid for their work, not just myself, but other ones. And I know there are artists on this call. So this is our beautiful work in Fire Brava. Some of you already been there, and this is the seed that we created. That is also a project that we are continuing to develop. So very, very welcome to visit. And it's not going to be exactly the same because every place is very different, but it's going to be similar in principles and in creation. So I think I will stop sharing at this point. We have tickets in the chat. We have link to Artizen. So please click Artizen and at least do the voting. That would help us enormously. So each of you can do that. And then, of course, if you can support, that would be amazing. So where we are 20 minutes before the hour. So what I want to do, I'm just gonna quickly check if I covered more or less everything. Yes, we have one more thing that I want to share with you. We want to, I told you before, we want to really invite more energy to Eternal Forest and specifically during the gathering. So we are looking for one person and we're going to offer them at least ticket to the gathering. And we need that person to help us to do outreach. What does that mean? So you can imagine we have lots and lots of beautiful connections throughout these years of working, 8 years of working on Eternal Forest, and we have beautiful database. We're not going to make it big. We're probably going to make a database of like 30 organizations, primarily in Portugal, and we need some help writing emails to them and kind of engaging them and inviting them to come to the gathering, to participate and to contribute with part of this journey. So it could be an NGO that is doing conservation work. It can be a tree planting organization. So if you want to help us on that, we can have a conversation. Just reach out to us. So that is basically all I wanted to share with you for now. I can see some puzzled faces and some smiling faces. So yes, we can review the slides after this call. We will send you all the links in one single email, so you will have everything. Is there a way to reach site by public transportation other than driving? Okay, maybe it's a question to Guy. I know how to drive there. Yeah, how do we do the public transport?
That's something that we need to look into. We haven't looked into that, but yeah, thanks for flagging that. That's a really important one. I think we're gonna organize at least maybe something with buses going from the local train station or from São Pedro to Sul. But it's a really important one to look into. Yeah.
Ines raised hand.
Yeah, but hi, but I lowered it because basically I was just saying São Pedro has good connections on the Expresso on the coach line, and then Carvalhais is very close to São Pedro, so even taxis are pretty much doable. But yeah, if you guys organize buses, of course it's better. But it's very close.
Thank you, Ines. Yes, so I think we're going to work on the glamping part. Just like, don't worry about that. I know Guy sent Tom's, basically a person who is providing the glamping, the PDF. That is really not so much for you, it's more like for us. But maybe what we can do is we can like create a link after that. Like I know that people will be asking, so I think yeah, I agree. Maybe that option with PDF is not the perfect one because people need to think how to book, right? Okay, well, I think these are like very logistical question. What about your imagination? Tell me more. Like, how do you feel about the program, first of all? And if you have any questions about your involvement, how you're feeling about participation, Adita.
I'm just wondering two things. When you're thinking about these forest landscapes, whether in Portugal or elsewhere, are you also thinking about like agroforestry and food systems and things like that? Yeah, that was my first question. I have a second question, but I also
Okay,
emailed.
can I ask first question first?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. So, in principle, Eternal Forest is doing forest for the sake of biodiversity and wildlife conservation. So we are very much for agroforestry, but we are not doing that work specifically and directly. We can be embedded in a project that has an agroforest, syntropic forest nearby, permaculture farm, whatever, but we are really focusing on creating forest sanctuaries as a place of communion with nature and ultimately designing them for maximum increase of habitat. So when we look at, for example, 12-hectare forest in Faya Brava, our focus is which. Right, we know which species potentially can exist, both plant species, animal species, insect species, and we're giving them more space and we're creating a possibility for thriving life there. We're also creating experience for humans through art and through all of this artistic engagement, but we're really focusing, okay, let's give space for wildlife. And if we look at permaculture principles, some of you might know there is zone 5 in permaculture, which is the wild zone. So basically, when we think about permaculture, we're activating zone 5 in a super focused and intentional way. I hope it answers your question.
Thank you.
What was the second question?
Oh, just the outreach that people that you're inviting people to help with. Does that require Portuguese proficiency?
Maybe ideally, yes. I think we can also think about outreach within like close neighbors in Europe, because we have like also a few organizations we would like to invite that might be able to come to a gathering in general and to our camp. So it can be actually maybe both. We can think about it. If you're interested, just reach out to me and we can talk about that.
Awesome. I just sent you an email.
Thank you.
Adita, I just want to add to the Evgenia explanation that I've been seeing the Eternal Forest project as and a plus, like a help for landowners, for NGOs. For example, Faya Brava, they have like 1,000 hectares to take care of. And they are like giving the opportunity for us to help them with 10, 12. And we want to increase this. So somehow we are making what the effort, the project of what's already happening. Or if someone or a group or a community wants to start something, we are going to provide a way for this to happen, and not only focusing on the ecological aspect, but also in the stewardship in the community. Because what's the point of protecting forests if we are not being able to visit them and to be inspired by them, right? So
Yeah.
I think this, in my opinion, this is the most important and the innovative topic about eternal forest and the contribution.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anybody else? I can't believe there are no questions.
Yeah, I'd like to. What's the situation in Portugal in relation to the government support, the environmental situation of sort of like this? Because it's very important work, but we know that sort of what can you say about support from the government, not financial necessarily?
Yeah, thank you, Peter. This is such an important question. And actually, answering this question, this is exactly why we're doing this work. So I started this whole process and journey with Eternal Forest because we have very big gap between government support and actually government moving fast enough to recover, regenerate, and protect landscapes. Of course, we have institutions in place, but actually there are many more countries in Europe that are doing much better work on that scale, on that level. So I believe that's why we have so many amazing grassroots initiatives in Portugal, because government is just not doing enough, and because people are stepping up and saying, well, we need to actually do this work ourselves. And so, yes, there is some support, but like, please correct me if I'm wrong. Ines is here. She's an artist. She's Portuguese. We have very little support in Portugal for multidisciplinary long-term projects. Number one, cultural projects, right? So that is very, very limited. And that is why we are acting and we are moving, trying to move in a completely different way. We have very little support for projects that are focused on communities, engagement, and really moving communities. And this is very deep and long-term work, and nobody wants to pay for this work. So we're like, that's why we're activating people to start moving themselves. So once they're organized enough, we can then help everybody. That is why Eternal Forest doesn't want to be just an NGO, like an umbrella, but we want to be a mycelium that hopefully by helping communities to get ready, we can then go together as a movement and show that we are visible and not invisible, because there are many landowners becoming land stewards and starting to protect their forests, but they're not big enough, A, to lobby, B, to go for funding, and be organized enough to reach that funding. It's a lot of work, funding. It's like, once you start going into it, it's never ending. So yes and no, there is some support, but we also need to get to the level of organization and visibility and several projects working together in parallel. And this is what we're aiming to do, to then be able to be visible enough so government also starts moving. So it's a kind of both directions.
And what is the traditional use of land in that part of Portugal, and whether there exist any fences at all? There's a sort of a definition of this piece of land.
That is great. You mean this specific area, Carvalhais?
Yeah, this specific area. What's the tradition? What's the agricultural tradition? Is it with cattle or plantation or?
It's a bit of everything. So what I know about, Ines can share because she's actually based locally. So maybe she can share like the bigger picture. What I can say, where we are doing the work that we are committed to at least start. So Bioparque is a park. It's like a biological park, and it has a fence around it, I think. But it has a connection to a larger area that is common land that is managed by Freguesia. And I think they're doing good management, because not every place in Portugal is doing good management of their common land. They've already been planting trees. They're struggling because trees are dying. So what we want to do is help them to restore the water cycle and do this work properly. And that big land, I think it's not fenced. It's like a big open land, because to fence 200 hectares is like really a lot of money. But maybe Ines can also share with you a little bit about generally the situation in Carvalhais, because she lives there since how long? 1 year?
2 years now. Well,
Okay,
nearly.
2 years. Okay, time flies.
I'm nearly 2 years. Yeah, no, it's an interesting region of Portugal. It's very mountainous, so we are just enmeshed in the mountains, and the typical parcel of land is small because of all the inheritance issues that there are. So little, very tiny slithers of terrain belong to a family, then the other, etc. Mountainous. There's a fair amount of eucalyptus around. So we've had 2 years ago we've had serious fires. Last year wasn't as bad, but still there is still little bits of old forest, especially along the rivers. And São Pedro do Sul is the municipality with the highest ratio of river beaches per area in Portugal. So there's a lot of water flowing through, and around those places, it's very idyllic. It's really beautiful. But in terms of agriculture, there's a lot of. There used to be more cattle, and by cattle I actually mean sheep and goats. Cattle, there is a quite a famous species of cow that roams in the hills, exactly where I live, in the hills of São Macário. They've nicknamed all of this area the Magic Mountains. So you can imagine that there are magical places still available. But yeah, it's a very interesting area for biodiversity as well.
Thank you. And I did not say so. I mean, I mentioned the river, and Dinesh now mentioned how beautiful the landscape is. I mean, Bioparque is just a jewel. It's really beautiful. I mean, you can go online and have a look. It has not just, I mean, for me, the most beautiful feature is the water running through the land, is the river, but they have also an amazing pool, and it's not just any kind of pool, so will always be fresh. It is a pool that is filled with that water through the mountain that comes from the mountain, so it's always clean and it's fresh. And of course, they're doing some treatment, but it's very, very beautiful. So it's a very, very special place. And I just wanted to say, I feel very lucky that we have a chance not just to do a camp and talk about things, but to do something very practical. And that is basically the invitation. So we really want to do the work with Carvalhais, and we really want to take that first step with the community. So you will be witnessing that process and learning this process together with us. And my hope is that that seed that can be taken further and forward. So somebody was just asking me, I shared the presentation, I opened the link. I'm going to also give you here, especially for those of you who just getting to know Eternal Forest, a bigger presentation, and then I'll put it all in one email. So let me share that. Maybe we can take a couple of more questions from someone who has some burning questions, or maybe some ideas, or maybe you have ideas who we should be connecting with. Just unmute yourself and talk if you have something to say. Would be good to hear from other people.
Hi,
Okay.
everyone. I got a question.
Hi, Michael.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. I was just wondering, do communities, did you happen to work on projects close to each other so that communities work together maybe or share ideas?
Michalis, you're already tapping into the future. Yes, of course. So not yet, but if we look at the map, and there is on our website, there is a map of Eternal Forest Sanctuaries. We started not only putting the ones we're already working with, but the intentional one that we are only setting up to work with. So our dream case scenario that we are not doing one by one project, but we're inviting communities to lead, and then we are also bioregionally first, because that's easier, connecting those communities so they can start talking to each other, exchanging the knowledge, exchanging the learnings, what they're struggling with. We can create cohorts, because guess what? When you go for European funds and other national funds, it's much better and much easier to go for a larger fund and then have several projects linked together rather than going one by one, because this is just exhausting. And it's also exhausting because it requires a lot of resources. So if there is one person who is helping with fundraising, for example, and 5 communities are joining the dots and coming together in one single project of 2 to 3 years to develop it properly and well, guess what? It's much better option than we are scrambling for like 10,000 here and 10,000 there. There could be smaller activations, of course. So yes, this is very much our vision. For now, really important to get people talking inside one community. So we are starting there, because my observation from many years of working with people in communities is that the word community is kind of a general term. There are some communities that are more coherent within themselves, and some that are very like, people are individualistic. People have the gardens, people have their farms, people who have farms, they don't want to know anything about trees. At least in Portugal, I'm not talking for the rest of Europe and the world. There are some people who are very, very active and like we are creating legacy forests. We are creating old growth forests. And that's like US is kind of driving and Germany and France is completely different. So here there's still a lot of work to just like really get people to see what they have, the treasure that they have and the treasure that they can even by protecting and by valuing it and by elevating it through the cultural lens, they can actually benefit from it so much more from all the different perspectives. But thanks, that's a really, really important question. And then guess what? When we have several communities connected like this, we can then start talking about green corridors. So that's the ecological kind of action towards the future. Thank you so much, Elise. Whoever needs to leave, that's fine. We're already on the 8 o'clock. So we're gonna save this chat, send to you the synopsis of this call. I very much invite you to reach out to us, and if you want to have like a private chat, if you have some ideas, you have some kind of ideas, who should be part of this camp, who should we be reaching out to, probably Portugal and Europe-wise, and how many people do you expect? Okay, so inside Eternal Forest Camp, this year we would like to have about 50 people. But the gathering, we don't know how many will be. It can be anything from 500 to like 900. It's very variable. The land can hold that. That's okay. That's what I think they were planning for, up to 1,000 people. Last year we had, I think, 25 people in the camp, but also our camp is open. So there will be, of course, people coming from community. Not only coming, we will be engaging them directly into the program. So there will be moments that, you know, some of it will be Portuguese English together because we really want to bring them into the whole process. So there will be moments when we are in the circle of 25 people, and there are moments when we're in the circle of maybe 50 to 70 people. We will see. It's up to us. Bring your friends. Okay. So if there are no more questions, we have another event coming up, which is, let me just see. I already forgot the date. I put it in the calendar, and of course I forgot. It will be 22nd of July, I believe. So we will do one in July, one in August. And yeah, so if somebody couldn't make it today, they can also come online in different times. Thank you so much, everybody. And yeah, see you at the gathering. See you at the Eternal Forest Camp, and let me know how we can co-create.
Thanks a lot.
See you soon.